You can't miss this episode of Really Mary because why, Steve?
You can't afford not to buy a house right now.
Really, Mary?
Hey, it's Mary Bartos of the Bartos Group at Premier Plus Realty, and it is my delight to have Steve Cartwright from AmeriFirst here on the call with us. Hello, Steve.
Hi, thanks so much for having us today, Mary. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. You know, Steve, what is on the tips of everyone's tongue is really inflation. And today we're going to talk about why home ownership is the hedge against inflation. It makes sense, right?
It does. I think the best hedge against inflation is home ownership right now with the appreciation rates we're looking at.
Absolutely. And quite honestly, if I can fix my home costs and everything goes up, at least my home cost isn't going up. So let's take a look at the slides that we have prepared for this. So look at this back to the 70s, Steve. That just really hits it home with home ownership, this hedge against inflation. I would say that we only have a couple of decades where it's just a little bit less. Home ownership appreciation is a little bit less than inflation. I don't know, Steve, I know you've been doing this a while. I remember, well, maybe not to the 70s because I first bought my first house in the 80s. But look at how this is prepared. And then you look at 20 and 21 are off the charts. As a matter of fact, in our area, just in 2022, in the last year, Lee County has 33.3% appreciation of homes, and Collier County has 39.6% appreciation. That is crazy, isn't it?
It is. And I think this chart shows, if you really go back in economics history and you study this chart, it shows that it's a very, very solid investment. Even in the two worst decades, it still was a break-even investment. But look at the 70s and the 10s and the 20s and 2021 right now. And I think 2022 is going to be even more, Mary.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If I, of course, our increases right now are higher than what's happening nationwide because people are wanting to move down to Southwest Florida for a lot of reasons. But, 18% return on your money is not bad.
Oh, it's terrific. It's better than you're ever going to do in any stock market scenario.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now let's take a look at the rents. Because our first-time home buyers, we are in a 7-year cycle, and we're in 2 years of a 7-year cycle where millennials are buying homes. So if they're not buying a home, they're either living at home with their parents, which are probably ready for them to leave, or they are, renting. And look at these rents increasing against inflation. It's been higher than inflation has been.
Yes, and I think once again the 2021 and 2022 are going to be even higher. I hear from a lot of people about their rents actually even doubling in this last few months that aren't even on this graph, Mary.
Oh my goodness. So if you've had a thought about buying a home, really now is the time. Now, here's the core to what you have to say, really, which is the interest rates. So let's take a peek at the next graph, if we will, and look at that mortgage rate versus inflation. Talk a little bit about this, Steve.
So this graph has a lot of information. It goes back to 1971. And we all know that interest rates are on the rise currently. I have that question asked to me every day. What are rates doing? And rates are moving up. They have moved up well into the 5s currently, a little over 2% for the year. But if you look at the graph back about 1974, you will see a very short period of time where inflation was actually higher than interest rate. In fact, go all the way to the right side of the chart now and look at it. We have been at that point for the last year and a half. Even though rates are still going up, inflation is still higher than interest rates. That means that you're really borrowing at a negative rate, Mary.
Wow. Wow. I love the way you said that, at a negative rate. At the end of the day, home ownership, as these 3 slides, and Keeping Current Matters is where I get my content from. So thank you. Really, it's never been a better time to buy, regardless of the interest rates, because people are saying now, as they're looking back, oh, I coulda, shoulda, woulda. If I'd only borrowed when it was a 3% and now we're at the low fives, can I afford that house? And you submit, yes.
I will say that you can't afford not to buy the house.
That's
I
powerful.
think that if you don't buy the house now, in the situation that we're in, you're looking to potentially lose a lot of money in investment.
Well, you heard it here first. I'm Mary Bartos with the Bartos Group of Premier Plus Realty. And as Steve said, don't lose money in an investment. Ciao.
Thank you. Bye.